welcome. My name is Meryl Robinson of Meryl Makes, and today I'm going to show you how to digitize a simple in-the-hoop hanging decoration using Hatch Embroidery software. We'll be using closed and open lines, motif runs, backstitch and embossed satin stitch to create the design. And by also using a raw edge applique technique, we can add dimension to our project. I created a Christmas present image using a graphics program, and we'll use that as the pattern for our decoration. Click on Artwork to find the image that you want to use, and then open the graphic and bring it into your software. Lock the design so that it doesn't accidentally move whilst digitizing by pressing the keyboard shortcut K. When we stitch the design, we'll need to hoop the stabilizer only, so we begin by digitizing a placement line. Under Digitize, select Digitize Closed Shape, and we'll trace around the graphic, using left clicks for straight lines and right clicks for curved. No need to complete the outline, as the software will automatically join it up. Press Enter to complete. Select the line you've just done and change the stitch length to 5. When we stitch, we need to place our fabric over this line onto the stabilizer. But to secure the fabric into place, we need to add a tack down line, and Hatch makes this really simple. So we select our first placement line and just duplicate it, and then change the colour and change the stitch length. Toggle the artwork back on by pressing shortcut D. And we're going to digitize 3 open shape lines. So selecting Digitize Open Shape, left click for the start point, hold the Control key down and then left click again, press Enter. That'll give you a perfectly straight line. We're going to select 2 of those lines, the top one and the bottom one, holding down Control key as we do so, and then change them to a motif. Now I'm going to select today a motif that I created in my library, and it's a scalloped edge. And then we're going to select all 3 and change the colour. And that's our motif completed. The next part of the design is to digitize the ribbon, which is going to be raw edge applique. This will add texture to our present, but also has the advantage of hiding the connecting stitch line that connects the 2 motif runs. This time we're going to use digitize rectangle. So we click on the rectangle and just drag the shape out that we want. Click again when we've got the shape, or press Enter. So I'm going to select the design we've just done, change the stitch run length to 5 and change the colour. So when we stitch the design, this will be our placement for our plaid fabric. We'll lay our fabric over the design, overlapping the edges, and then we need to digitize a blanket stitch to hold it into place. And again, Hatch makes this super easy. We'll use our duplicate tool again, change the colour and change the stitch to blanket. Now as you can see, it's overlapping slightly. I don't want that, so I'm going to take it off normal to offset. And I'm going to change the spacing to 4 and the width to 3. And that's secured the base part of our ribbon into place. So let's see what that looks like when we get rid of the artwork. Using the D shortcut key, we can then see the blanket stitch and the plaid part of the ribbon in place. When we stitch the design, at this point we would trim that fabric before we go on to stitch the next part. So bringing the artwork back by pressing the shortcut key D, the next part of the design is to digitize the top of the bow, and we're going to use closed shape for that, and using our left and right clicks just trace around the top of the ribbon. And pressing enter to join. I'm going to do a connecting line between the two shapes, so using the digitize open shape, and then back to the closed shape to do the same part of the bow on the other side. And enter. So this will be the placement line for the top of the bow. Again, we want to select those, so clicking all three of them, holding down the control key. We're going to change the colour. Change the stitch length. And then we have the placement line for the plaid fabric on the top of the bow. We now want to put the fabric onto the design. So using our shortcut key D, we can now dim the artwork and see clearly what we've just done. And now we need to digitize the blanket stitch, which will secure it into place. But again, Hatch makes this super easy. All we need to do is to duplicate the parts that we've just done. So this time, holding down the Shift key, clicking the top part and the bottom part so that all three are highlighted, we can then duplicate, change the colour, and then come out. So we only want the two parts of the bow to be blanket stitch. So if we click that one, hold the control key down and the bottom one, that'll just highlight the two of them, and we can change them to blanket stitch. And like we did last time, offset, change the spacing to 4 and the width to 3. And then when we're stitching the design, we would trim the fabric at this point. We're going to add some texture to the centre of the bow by using an embossed satin stitch. So using the digitize circle tool, it's going to drag out a circle, the shape that we want, the size that we want, and double click, and then select it, change it to an embossed satin stitch, picking a pattern that we like. I think I'm going to go for Blossom 5, and then changing the colour. This hanging decoration is meant to be stuffed, which means leaving an opening to allow us to push in the stuffing. But to make sure the front looks uniform, we're going to digitize a run line to hide the gap. So using our Open Shapes tool, I'm going to start somewhere here, use our Control key to hold down and get a straight line, down to the bottom and across. Click Return to enter the shape, select it, change its colour, and I'm going to turn it into a triple run this time, and the stitch length to 3. So now, picking our Open Shape tool, we're going to select our colour, select our stitch type of triple stitch and our stitch length of 3, and trace around the image so that we can attach the backing fabric to our design. We'll use left and right clicks to give us curved and straight points, and follow the design around. When we stitch the design out, we need to remove the hoop from the machine to attach the backing fabric to the back of the stabilizer, and it'll be secured into place using this triple stitch. We need to remember when we do that to change our bobbin thread to match the fabric. And the final thing to do is to run through our stitch player to see if our design works properly. Placement, tag down, motif, connecting run, motif, placement for our raw edge applique, and blanket stitch securing it into place, placement for the top of the bow, raw edge applique and the blanket stitch, the embossed satin fill, triple run to close the gap, and the final triple run to secure the backing fabric onto the reverse of the decoration.